The words for shame have long been spoken to people accused of offensive behavior. Now, thanks to the internet, those words can be shared with millions around the world. Our cover story is reported by David Pogue of Yahoo Finance.
Last Friday night, Kyle Quinn, an assistant professor at the University of Arkansas, was enjoying a pleasant night out with his wife.
We went up to Bentonville, Arkansas. There's a Crystal Bridges Museum. I saw some nice art exhibits with my wife, and we went to dinner up there and just had a lovely evening.
Okay, so what's the first inkling you had that something was amiss?
There was a lot of frantic emails from the university trying to reach me, and I thought my weekend was about to be ruined.
While Kyle Quinn was at that museum in Arkansas, white supremacists were gathering in Charlottesville, Virginia. And on the internet, outraged onlookers misidentified Quinn as one of the participants. Have you seen the picture of the real guy? Do you think there's a resemblance?
Not really. I understand. I've got a beard. I understand that some people could see a resemblance there, but anyone that knows me knew right away that that's not me.
But people who didn't know Quinn decided that he had to be punished. What sorts of messages were you getting?
Really vulgar messages that you could never air. There were messages coming to my email, messages on my work phone, things on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as well.
Can you give me a sample?
They were all implying that obviously I was a racist.
That was Kyle Quinn's introduction to the modern form of public humiliation known as internet shaming, where online mobs descend upon one person in a wildly out-of-proportion attack. Were these threats to your safety? I mean, death threats?
The most troubling thing to me and my wife really was someone identified where we live, our home address. Anytime you have an angry mob and someone says, hey, this is where the guy lives, that's a threat in my book. So we decided to head over to a friend's house for the evening.
The internet mob was so aggressive that the real man in the photo, Andrew Dodson, came forward, expressing guilt that attacks were directed at Kyle Quinn.
I'm certainly an example that mistakes can be made.
Internet shamings have become sadly routine. Even President Trump joins in. Sometimes the public piles onto someone famous, like comedian Kathy Griffin, who posted a gruesome anti-Trump photo. But other times it's a non-celebrity, like Walter Palmer, a dentist who shot Cecil the Lion in 2015. Or James Damore, the Google employee who was fired after writing that men are more biologically suited to technical jobs than women.
It's profoundly traumatizing, and people kill themselves. I mean, I know of 4 suicides in the last couple of months.
John Ronson has written a book about internet shaming. He tells the stories of regular people who become the target of intense internet harassment. It all begins when something you post, intended only for your circle of friends, makes its way to the wider online public.
It can just go around the world. Millions of people will know about this human being that nobody had heard of an hour earlier.
Well, I'm waiting in line. I'm next in line. I'm pretty excited about my free water.
Which brings us to Adam Smith.
Here I go.
He became a target in 2012 after he recorded a tense exchange with a cashier at a Tucson Chick-fil-A on his phone.
You know why I'm getting the free water, right?
I do not.
Because Chick-fil-A is a hateful corporation.
The plan was to be part of a YouTube protest.
This is a horrible corporation with horrible values.
I never yelled or called her names or anything, but it got a little heated.
I hope you have a really nice day.
I will. I just did something really good. I feel purposeful.
And I thought, yeah, I'll just upload it.
The mob soon descended.
We received letters that had pictures of people having sex and hate and swastikas, and someone mailed feces through the mail.
And then it got really bad.
And they put my kid's elementary school address online. And they were like kindergartners and first graders. So that's when we moved out of the house.
Smith lost his job as a CFO. He wound up on food stamps and then separated from his wife.
I started questioning things that I never had questioned in my life, whether or not I should even be alive.
I am going to find you and I'm going to rape you and torture you and rip each of your limbs off one by one until you have the most painful death.
If you're a woman, though, the abuse can go to a whole new level of viciousness.
Can you say that to someone? Much less say it to their face?
Kendall Jones was a Texas cheerleader who enjoyed big game hunting with her father. Her hunts were licensed and legal, and big game hunters routinely take trophy pictures like these, but Kendall's photos went viral.
You're disgusting, you're ugly, you're fat, your hair's ugly, your eyes are too far apart, you look like a horse.
The goal is to destroy the person.
John Suhler is a clinical psychologist at Rider University in New Jersey and the author of Psychology of the Digital Age. I asked him how people can treat strangers this way.
A lot of this boils down to a lack of empathy for someone online. There's a tendency to see that person not as a real individual, but as an object, as a target.
Internet shamings follow patterns. The victim's post or tweet is taken out of context. That was true for Kendall Jones.
Someone said I shot a tiger. They don't even have tigers in South Africa.
And for Adam Smith.
A lot of people didn't know that it was an organized protest.
Or people are misidentified, like Kyle Quinn.
Were you, in fact, in Charlottesville at all?
Nope.
The shaming usually dies down after a week or so. But according to John Ronson, for the victim, it's not over quite so soon.
A year and a half is when they get a new job, and they're not thinking about it every morning, and they're not waking up in the middle of the night.
But even then, a shaming is tied to the victim forever.
Their Google search results will always have this transgression at the top.
What is the advice you would give to the shamee?
I know what it's like to be you. And I'm sorry.
Can you say it does get better?
It can get better if you face what has happened and you really come to terms with what happened. You really did get ostracized and publicly humiliated, and it probably wasn't fair.
He adds they should remember this.
I would tell them that they are deeper than the comments, that they are love, that they don't need to question their worthiness.
I wondered if there's any hope that the internet might become a kinder place.
I wish that I could say that Twitter will be a haven where nothing abusive will ever happen, but we're not always going to get it right.
Del Harvey is the vice president of trust and safety at Twitter. In the last few years, she's overseen a range of improvements designed to rein in internet shamings.
We now allow you to report multiple tweets at a time. So if you're being actually abused, then it's not sort of this one by one by one by one.
Twitter has also tried to make life more difficult for the attackers.
The vast majority of sort of the worst content, it's not 100 people, it's one person who created 100 accounts.
Twitter's algorithms shut some of these people down. And the progress isn't just taking place at Twitter.
It's a long road to go, and there's still a lot of things that we already know that we want to work on.
Are there people in your position then at Facebook and Reddit?
Absolutely.
And you guys communicate?
Absolutely.
Clearly, I think this is a demonstration that an online mob that forms is probably not the best way to carry out justice.
Kyle Quinn was lucky that his shaming ended quickly. As for Adam Smith, he is happily employed and still married. But even 5 years later, his internet shaming still haunts him.
Emotionally, I'm a very different person today than I was before the protests and before the shaming. I know what it's like to get hurt, and I don't want that to happen to anybody else anymore. Like, we need to stop it. Like, we got to stop it.